Listen. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon. You know, you probably wonder, okay, why was she playing that? Well, for those who did not know, last night was the first iteration of the Janet Jackson documentary. Shout out to Melissa Berrien and shout out to Lauren Melissa who did their reactions. Listen, it was hot. It was hot. So I thought I would channel a little bit of Janet Jackson with my denim and my hat, tilted to the side or flipped to the side. So I thought I would channel a little bit of her. I tell you what, that documentary took me down memory lane in so many ways. So many ways. My mom used to say that, actually, she still says it. She says that her and Stevie Wonder grew up together. So when she says that, a lot of people say, you know Stevie Wonder? No, what she meant was, or what she means is her and Stevie Wonder are the same age. So literally, they grew up together because there's no bigger fan than my mother when it comes to Stevie Wonder. Me and Janet Jackson, she's a year older than me. We're both May babies. So I consider, I grew up with her. I think, we were talking about last night, Control. That album came out in 1985. I graduated from high school in 1985, turning 18, coming of age. So I was right here with her, right here. Okay. Another thing, 2001, the song I just played, Son of a Gun. Man, she was going through her divorce from Renee. I was going through my divorce from my daughter's father. Not a tough time. Not an easy time, rather. So I thought I would give a little Janet Jackson vibe this morning. So let me get to the morning announcements. You know how I do it. But before I do that, welcome. I am TJ Randolph. Welcome to Mosaic with TJ Randolph. Today's episode, this is me and my fruit, Dani B. Jordan. We do Ladies Legacy on Saturdays, where we talk about different things. And I give my perspective as a Gen Xer, and she gives her perspective as a millennial. So we are going to talk about the subject for today, raising children in 2022 and basically anything goes culture. As you come into the studio, I want to ask if you would go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And I also want to thank everyone who has subscribed to me thus far. I greatly appreciate it. So as we get to the morning announcements, let me give some greetings first. Good morning, RM. Yes, first in the house. Yes. Hey, Eugene, Missy, and Janet, but somebody else you don't know. Carly Simon. If you don't know her, look it up. She's the one that sing I Bet You Think This Song Is About You, the original. So I love the way Janet brought the original into her version of this song. Carly Simon, look her up. Let's see who else we got here. Jedi Mike, hey nephew. Hey nephew, nieces and nephews, good morning. So, couple of things here. Got to get to it. Shout out to my firstborn nephew, Rhyan Spunk Adams. I got to give it up to him every time he is on the intro doing his ting with the saxophone. You can find him on Apple Music, Spotify, Rhyan Spunk Adams. Follow him on IG at I am Spunk. All that information is in the description. Also, shout out to my hubby. He's not here today yet. And all the hardworking truck drivers that are traveling these highways and byways, bringing us our goods and services. You show right, Eugene. You're so vain. See, me and Eugene are here. Okay. Shout out to Micki-Redd Creates. She is the one responsible for my digital marketing, my thumbnails. You can tell the thumbnails I do versus the ones that she does. Also, my banner, my intros, all of that. Shout out to Micki-Redd Creates. Her information is also in the description. And also I'm giving, what am I trying to do? Definitely fair use for the use of Janet Jackson's song. And I'll be sure to put that in the description because I don't want to strike. But I thought I would share that with you because, again, Janet Jackson is very talented. Like she said in her documentary last night, she's just not a singer. She's a writer too. And that song, yes, think about it. So the second part of the documentary is tonight. I'll be watching. So welcome to my fruit, Dani B. Jordan, AKA A Couple Sips in the House. Are you there, darling?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Chilosiums.
Cool. Let me turn my camera on. I am sleepy, so bear with me.
Okay. Okay. What do you think of your mom in this hat?
It's given definitely 45 degrees. Just
I get it from my daddy.
the sharp, that's that 45. Just
And see, this song, Dani, I don't know how old you were. I can't remember how old you were in 2001. I think you're about 6 or 7.
Yeah, about
So
6.
you don't remember nothing about this song. Had you ever heard it before?
Mm-mm.
It's dope though, ain't it?
I forgot Janet had them abs, boy. I said, golly, Janet.
Janet was not to be played with. You understand me?
At all. Mm-mm.
Attitude. Hey, I'm here with it.
Basically.
Listen, okay, so let's get into this thing. The topic, raising children in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Before we dig deep into it, I want to show you something. And again, shout out to Melissa Berrien, who brought this. I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it at all. Let's see here. I hadn't seen it at all until yesterday. I'm like, whoa. You know Gina from Martin, right? Tisha Campbell?
Yes.
Okay. This is what we about to watch because it's about to crack off.
Oh no.
Let's check it out. Let's check it out because it ties in, honey.
Don't freak out, but I think I almost got snatched up. So they don't have Ubers where I'm filming, and I had to call a taxi. So I get this number, but the truck that the van that pulls up is real sketchy looking. But there's a guy in the back seat, right? So when he jumps out, the guy is just standing there. I thought he was getting dropped off, but he's just standing there. And he goes, "Get in," and I go, "What?" He goes, "Get in," and I go, "No." And then I look at the car, look inside the car, it's fucked up. The rubber is pulled up from the bottom. There's dirt everywhere. The back seat looked like it's snatched out for a fucking reason. And so the guy in the front seat, the driver goes, get in the car. And I go, well, I'm not getting in the car. And the guy in the back is like kind of mushing his body towards me to get in the car. And the guy says, well, then get in the front seat then. I said, I'm not getting in that fucking car. Fuck y'all. Fuck out of here, right? I asked the lady at the front desk, I said, yo, who's the guy that gave me this number? And she was like, why would he give you this number? Yo, this trafficking shit is real, but they got me fucked up. They got me fucked up. Because I ain't Gina, bitch.
Okay. Thoughts?
Golly. Well, yeah. That's what I have to say. Yeah.
This thing is real.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. How many of you all remember that movie Taken?
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies because that, Liam, he be out there, he don't be playing no games in his action roles, boy.
But here's the thing. When that movie came out, it didn't register that it would be happening in the United States, okay?
Oh,
because
well,
remember, she
Yeah.
went out of town with her friend,
Out of the country. Mm-hmm.
out of the country. And here's another thing, as we talk about raising children, she lied to her parents
As they all do.
about who was going to be there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. RM said, I remember it. So this is deep. And as we raise, and Tisha Campbell is pretty much close to my age. She looks great.
Yeah. So was she was saying that there was no Ubers where she was from and she had to just like call a taxi? Is that what she said?
Yes.
She said it pretty quick. Oh, okay.
She said where she's filming, there are no Ubers or no Lyft. So maybe a small town, or who's to say? Because when mommy went home, and I had to get a lift for her to go back to, pick her up from the airport, because, Fayetteville, North Carolina is really small. By the time the plane got there, there were no lifts available.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So she said that she had to, Tisha Campbell said that there are no Lyfts or Ubers there, so she had to call a taxi. Now, I didn't notice the first time she said a van pulled up.
Yeah.
A van. Then she goes back into the hotel and says, who gave me this number? And then the person said, why'd they give you that number? Listen, this is real.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
I was just saying Dallas is like one of the top sex trafficking cities in the country, I think. And so that's why, like, I think it was back when, I know Lyft and Uber kind of got it under control since then, but I think you had showed me some video where a woman was in a Lyft or Uber. I can't remember which one it was, but like the guy was like just taking her somewhere and she was like, you missed my turn, or you like missed my stop, or something like that. So it's definitely something. I mean, shoot, that's why I always tell women to be strapped. Not necessarily a gun, but have a taser, have a knife, like, especially if you're traveling by yourself. Like, because again, for women, you just never know, unfortunately. Because I was a Lyft driver, and really, it goes both ways, kind of thing. Because when I was a Lyft driver, I actually, more Lyft drivers, from what I've been hearing, have been getting killed by passengers, like robbed, sexually assaulted by passengers, so it's kind of on both sides. Like you said, you have to just be prepared in both avenues, because like you just don't know, and you just got to be safe. That's why, like, I think when that all happened, they were telling people, hey, if you have a friend who's drunk who needs a Lyft or Uber, you be that friend who checks the license plate. Because I think a lot of what was happening is girls who would be drunk would just get in the first car thinking, oh, that car that pulled up is my Uber. But really, it's a sociopath who was just going around looking like an Uber. And like, I think one girl literally like wound up dead because she got in the wrong car.
Yeah, it's happened several times. And Red Lipstick Vi said it's a very real experience. A situation like that happened to her when she was 16. Listen, I have nieces coming up. it scares the crap out of me. And as we get into the topic, and even tying Janet Jackson into this thing, how times have changed. Oh my gosh. I went thinking back to, when her first album came out, and even the second, her first album, I was getting ready to go to college, second album, so around that young adult. Me and my girls, we had rules. We go to where we're going together, we leave together. We had rules, okay? And we was checking folks out. There was no, and I'm not gonna say we didn't have some hookups, because we did. But we got phone numbers and made sure somebody knew where we were going and who we was with. And that was before camera phones, people. But again, oh yes. And and see, each generation has their own safety issues and concerns, because, when my mother had me, then, and with each generations, there are more and more freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
So people feel like they can do more and more stuff.
Yep.
When I had Danielle, and I'm gonna ask you this in a minute, I don't know. Okay, let me ask you first. Do you remember the first thing you thought and said when you held Nichelle in your arms?
No, I was on a lot of medication. A lot of drugs.
Well, I do. Okay. And we would wait until you got in that. Listen, I still do that. I still do that. I still do
Definitely
that.
when I was pregnant, you would make sure my little waddle.
Yeah, I still do that. And again, if it was dark when she was going home and before she had, I would walk her out there. I still do that. Check this out. I got married at 52, but before I got married, and anytime I would go out of town with friends or whatever, guess who I'd text or make sure I had the information? My mama and her.
Wait, Mom, you were talking about something else, and I forgot. You got distracted. I forgot.
Okay.
What were you talking about?
Yeah. What I thought and said when I first had you and held you in my arm, I've never forgotten it. I was crying. I said, I wanted to protect you from all the evil in the world. And why I said that, because on the night that I was giving birth to you was the same night that O.J. Simpson's wife and friend were terminated.
Yep.
So I woke up that morning with all the news that was going on, and I remember holding you in my arms, crying, saying I wanted to protect you from all the evil in the world. How could I have known that the evil that was in the world then would be tenfold to what it is now? To what it is
What did
now.
I say? What did I say? You said you remember what I said. What did I say?
No, I said what I said to you, holding you in my arms.
Oh, but you said, what did I say to Nichelle? And then you went off on a tangent.
Well, I went off on a tangent because I was getting ready to.
Oh, I got lost. Sorry. I'm like, what?
Hey, you're tired. Yeah. So let's see.
Because you said, do you remember what I said to Nichelle? Because I said I was on a lot of medication, but I don't know.
No, I wasn't there. That's what I said. Because
okay.
I didn't see her till I didn't see her until later. Later.
Drugs.
Let's see here. I'm missing some comments here. Okay. I'll never tell.
Wow. Okay.
So now, as a parent, though, when you think about Nichelle and what's going on in society as it relates to children, school, what comes to mind for you?
Homeschooling. That's what comes to mind. Homeschooling for majority of her life. And it's not for necessarily the most protective reasons, because I still want her to be out. if that makes sense. I don't want her to just be locked in my house. But for me, when I look at things, I weigh the pros and cons, the benefits and the consequences. That's how I look at things. School now doesn't have nearly as many benefits as it did probably when you were in school, because now with, thanks for presidency George Bush with standardized testing, kids can't learn nothing anymore. Definitely nothing fun. And the textbooks have watered down real history so much that kids don't even probably think racism was real anymore. At this rate, they just, fluff it up to be something else. And it's like, I need my child to know what America was really built on. I need her to know what she came from. I need her to know like real life skills. And clearly, schools are not teaching that to kids at all. And so it's no point in me sending her on field trips to a school that don't even educate her for real. And and for those of y'all who haven't seen my daughter is very fair skinned. She's very light skinned. I would say if you didn't know I was her mom and you just saw the father, you'd probably assume that her mother was white, because just that's the way that she looks. So I have to double make sure that my child does not get not saying white privilege, but just that she doesn't get this arrogance that because I look this way, that being Black doesn't apply to me. Because I can see that happening, because she's a very beautiful baby. She's going to be a beautiful girl. And I realize it because of how we live and where we live, she may be around a lot more white children than Black children. So I need to make sure she knows what is real out here. So that's why I say homeschooling for me. And I work remote. Me and my husband both work remote. So I don't see that changing really anytime soon. So yeah, definitely remote and homeschooling for her, because I just don't see the point in school systems with school shootouts, teachers underpaid and overworked. It's just a horrible, broken system. Like schools, I think in Dallas, Fort Worth are closing left and right for that reason. Teachers are quitting. I think I've seen at least 8 superintendents of 3 different school districts quit in like the past 6 months.
Well, that was happening a lot too in Oklahoma City, because your aunt was telling me that those things were happening because you have teachers that were using their own monies to buy school supplies, in addition to having second jobs. So, you know, teachers have already always been underpaid, but they got something. They went into education because they wanted to be change agents. They wanted to pour into children. I
Mm-hmm.
remember growing up, and the teachers and the principals were like surrogate aunts and uncles, surrogate parents. They would call your mom. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they knew it. And even with, and I grew up in a time, my mom couldn't go to a lot of teacher parent conferences. She couldn't do a lot of those things, because my mom was a single mom. And I went to an upper middle class school that most of the children that were my classmates came from two-parent households, and their parents were professionals. But still, understanding that dynamic, many times the teachers and the educators took an kind of brought you in closer
Mm-hmm.
because they knew that you didn't have the benefit of that.
Yeah.
But we knew that if our parents are going to be called. So here's it, and let's check this. And because I was raised that way, by the time you were in school, and considering the fact that I was in the military, we were moving around a lot. I was very engaged in the schools where you went to: elementary, junior high, even high school.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know what's going on. So I want to show you a few things, and then we're going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, honey.
Oh, I didn't even talk about the bullying. Bullying
Oh,
is
oh,
astronomical.
let's
Like
let's get
I'll
let's
fight a
get there.
kid still.
Let's get there. So here we go. She means that figuratively, people. YouTube, if you're listening. Okay, here we go. Mom fights to protect son after brutal attack. You need to. Brace yourselves.
I mean,
now the district says it is promising a safe environment. Now, the district says it is promising a safe environment now, but this mother says after months of recovery and being in and out of the hospital and looking to plastic surgery, the trauma is enough. She says the district needs to do more.
13-year-old Tremaine is Jessica Wade's joy.
He's very sweet. He loves basketball.
But September 29th, her 8th grade son would be hospitalized after a fight inside a supervised classroom at Campbell Middle School, she says. It all started, she says, when another student started picking on Tremaine. Eventually, it turned physical.
He was choked to the point of being unconscious, thrown to the floor. When I arrived at the school, I had to rush him to the ER.
Broken teeth crushed into his face, his lip detached.
He's had 30 stitches in his chin area. His mandibular bone was fractured.
To this day,
This happened on school grounds in your classroom. Nobody can tell me what happened.
she says video circulating shows the chokehold and her son dropping to the floor. The family filed charges against the student for felony aggravated assault. Meanwhile,
We've seen plastic surgeons, oral surgeons.
thinking this chapter was behind them, Wade says the student facing charges is back on campus and will stay. She says despite her efforts, Cy-Fair ISD won't budge.
They cannot deny education to any student.
She was baffled.
At what point would anybody think it's okay for him to be on campus with my baby after what he's been through? Just mentally for my son to be able to thrive.
Wade and district attorney prosecutors asked for a protective order this week, but juvenile district court judge Natalia Oakes denied it. Instead,
The district tells me that they have a no contact order put in place.
This mother tells me she is worried about that. She says the two have the same lunch period and have seen each other already. This mother says she wants to see more action from the district. We actually spoke with the district, who says breaking that stay away agreement would lead to an immediate suspension. They also stated in part the district deeply regrets that Tremaine was injured at school and the student who engaged in the misconduct was assigned the maximum disciplinary consequences. Both students have been offered campus transfers and declined. The substitute teacher in the classroom when the assault occurred is no longer at the district. Now you can view that full statement on our website at clicktohouston.com.
Okay, listen. Yeah, you heard that, Eugene. And see, Eugene is an educator. So I know he's seen a lot. You know, I'm almost have tears in my eyes right now because I can't fathom that. When they say they can't deny a child education, let me tell you how much BS that is. Okay, you can't deny, but they don't have to be where my child is. Did you see he lifted the kid off the freaking ground?
because it's on YouTube, it's best that I say nothing.
Did you see it though? Did you see the young man lying down with the stitches and the tear rolling down his face?
No, I didn't see that part, no.
Going back to when I was in school, we fought, but guess what? We got suspended. And the person who started the fight, they have either a long suspension or they were expelled. Check this out. I worked in an alternatives middle school for the kids around this young man's age, from grades 6 through 9. That's when they came to my school. And I was a drill instructor. You don't remember I was a drill instructor. You were a baby. But that's when they came to my school because they were not going to be in the main school causing havoc. The fact that talking about maximum consequences, that's some BS because the kid should be expelled.
Yep. And in juvie. Because that kid, like, I almost got in fights in school, but the fact that he had no moral regard to stop. Like he wanted to kill that boy. Like he wanted to see the life, because to choke somebody out is next level sociopath. Because when you choke somebody out, you're literally watching the life leave their body. That's not like oh, I shot you by accident and you instantly were dead on pack, or I stabbed you and you bled out. Like it's different. Choking someone to death is a next level. Like he wanted that boy to die.
And here's another thing. And these kids nowadays, and I'm just going to say it, they don't know how to channel their emotions.
And nobody's there to teach them.
Because we had fights in school. We had fights in the neighborhood. That happens. But you live to fight another day. It wasn't
People
until
out here trying to kill. They're trying to, and again, it's not like, because I don't know what age, because 18, younger than that. I'm trying to figure out who's raising these kids, because it's like, it's not my group, because it'll be a little too young. I don't know what group it is, but whoever is raising these middle schoolers, I don't know if it's not boomers. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Not Gen Xers. I think it's between millennials and late millennials, Gen X. Shoot, what am I trying to say?
Yeah, because it's like
late Gen Xers, early millennials. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, because I'm like, because the level of lack of emotional control is on them. Because again, I am aware of like tantrums with kids. I'm aware of all of that. They don't fully get emotional control really until like mid-20s. Like, like you get a little better, but you lack impulse control. So these things that happen is because of that. But it's just like, I had lack of impulse control, but there were still limits I didn't cross. These kids have no limits. It's like, it's to death. It's like, whatever it is, it's to death. And I'm like,
And
I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know what happened with this generation, where it's just like, what happened where there was no limits anymore?
There are no consequences because, in my opinion, parents are too busy trying to be friends. Because I'm going to tell you something. When I was in school, and again, that's a whole different dynamic. We had corporal punishment. We had corporal punishment. You could get some swats. Now, I know y'all don't agree with that. Whatever. But we knew there were consequences. There are no consequences. And then when things happen, the parents were brought in. It was none of this, well, we can't tell you who the child is. There was none of that.
True.
There was none of that. Both parents of both children were brought in to talk about it with the principal. There was none of, well, we can't tell. There was none of that. And also there was none of this, well, my child wouldn't. There was none of that. Let me tell you something. Let me, I'm hot. Let me look at some comments here.
Well, Sir Hale Speak said something good.
I'm gonna get down to it. I just want to go down in the order they came in. People will often think that a quiet kid is crazy for lashing out, but when you get ignored, it drives you to okay. And when you get overlooked, well, yeah. Okay, so here's a good. I raised 3 kids in Philadelphia. Now they're 25, 26 boys, 25, 26, and 27 girls. I went through it all. What? Your son was shot and arrested, daughter arrested, and a cop. Wait a minute. I need more. Are you saying that your children did this, or somebody did this to your children? I'm confused here. Sir Hale. Okay, what you got? You want to read that, Danielle?
Oh, no, I was just saying what he was saying was that kids don't understand value of life because they're not taught it at home. And I'm like, yeah, that's a fair assessment, because I've been really trying to figure it out with, I don't know if they become desensitized because of what they keep seeing on TV all the time, so they don't understand anything anymore, or they think it's all a video game because of they see, I don't know, like, 'cause I'm not anti-video game people. I'm not that type. It's just, I don't know what it is, where it's just like kids just have no boundaries, or they have, like, even if they get angry, shoot, I get angry when I was a kid, but there were still limits. Like, I didn't get angry and go reach for a knife like kids do now. Like, they literally will get angry and reach for something to stab you with. And it's like, whoa, whoa, when did this happen? When did we switch? Like, what happened? Because it's so, and this is another reason why my child will be homeschooled, because there's levels in me that kids' parents would never want to see. Because this weave can come off. These glasses can't come off. Behind my child, there's no limits for me.
I have some anecdotes that I want to share with you all, and I don't know if Danielle will remember a lot of these. You remember when you were in middle school, you got your fingers broke?
Oh yeah, them girls bullied me because I was good at basketball.
Well, no, that's not what happened. You weren't good in basketball.
Exactly. That's why
But
I'm like, why did y'all push me down? I was barely making baskets.
well, here's the thing. This is what happened. My daughter, until she reached her growing peak, my daughter was taller than many of the kids in school. So this was a new middle school she went to. I think you were in the 6th grade.
It was
Because it was Larkspur Middle School.
Yeah.
And I'd just been reassigned to stationed in the Virginia Beach area, new school. I think it was her first week. First
girls
week.
pushed me down because I was barely making anything. I was okay. We were playing PE.
It was during PE. They were playing, but they assumed that because she was tall, she knew how to play basketball. Girl pushed my daughter down. I get the phone call. Her fingers are broken on her writing hand. You know, I went down there and acted damn fool. I needed answers, damn it. And I said, I need answers, just like that. I went down in my uniform. I meant business.
Never sure about the uniform, y'all. People were scared.
I meant business. And I said, I need answers, or somebody's being sued, or somebody's going to be on the news. I need answers. And I was cussing.
I would, man. I'm a Christian, but they would have saw the the next level before I was saved version of Dani had that happen to my kid. Oh Lord.
So, Celine, here's the thing. My nephew, one of my nephews, I think, so you're 27, he's 26. He just turned 26. When he was all through school, because as a child, he had a brain tumor. And so he had to learn how to do things over. And he got bullied a lot all the way through high school. Because, he had developmental issues based on the injury. What he had to go through. I remember going to town sometimes and to visit, and I'd be up at the school. I'd be up at the school. So, it's okay. So let me look at some comments. I'm getting fired up.
Well, I was just going to say, like, that's why, again, in this day and age, while those of us who are able to, because again, I know not everybody is able to, so I take that into consideration. But it's like, while I do have the option to homeschool and it's like a reality, I'm taking advantage of it because of that. Like, people were like, oh no, being bullied is a rite of passage. No, it's not.
Not nowadays.
No, it's not. Being bullied can get my child killed or assaulted.
You mean
that's not a rite of passage?
We can't say the K word on YouTube.
Because they'll
flag you. So we'll say eliminated or terminated.
When did that happen?
Yeah, they'll flag it. They'll flag the video. Yeah.
Oh Lord, this is why I can't do this stuff, man. This is why I stay off social media. This is too much. It's reality, people. This is what's happening.
It goes, Sir Hill. This is another thing, because it goes back even with corporal punishment. People had there were parameters. They were not emotional. So you didn't have to be as concerned that your child was being abused because there were parameters. Okay? It was not that they were wielding the paddle, knocking the crap out of you. There were parameters. But the problem is the kids are emotional because the parents and the grandparents are emotional. And again, I'll say it. I'll say it and I mean it. Some of this is because we've had so many freedoms and we wanted to give our children better than what we had. We didn't teach them how to deal with life.
I'm
We didn't
sorry. What is corporal punishment? Is that whoopings?
swats with the paddle.
They did that in school?
Yeah, when I was in school. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we need that again, personally. I don't think beating a kid does anything.
It wasn't beating. It wasn't beating. It was systematic. It was not that's what I'm saying. It wasn't beating. There you got maybe two swats, but it wasn't beating. But again, part of that was there were consequences. Whatever the alternative is, the alternative is. But we knew there were consequences. We knew if we were fighting. But here's the thing, we were nowadays if kids fight, and this is what surprised me about that video. When kids fight, they will go to jail. I guess it depends on what school, where you are.
It depends on where you are. And it depends on, again, the superintendents. It depends on the school board, because I think that they should. I think that should be every school district. If a kid's out here fighting, go spend a night or two in jail. That might humble you to get your crap together. Because I remember, I don't think I wasn't with Kevon. It was some person, one of my friends. I think she was a criminal justice major. She liked watching Scared Straight, because these kids who like, oh yeah, I got in 30 fights and I'm hard and I'm tough. Spend some time in jail, little ninja. Like, spend some time in jail for real, and without your little comfy bed and your clothes and your freedom. See how hard you are then. Because I think that's the issue. These kids want to be so tough on social media, like, oh yeah, I'm gangster. I'm tough. I'm from the South Side. And I'm like, you don't know nothing. Go out there to Compton somewhere where you really in danger, and let's see how hard you are then. Like, get out of here. And that's the issue. Kids are trying to project themselves to be this tough, rough exterior, and they, like you said, there's no consequences. So like, if they made that a thing, if you get in a fight and you spend a night in jail, you wouldn't see nearly as many fights. Because I'm not talking about little cute jail. Send them to jail.
And they did, and they used and again, Scared Straight was a real thing. And again, but when we talk about programs, those are some of the first programs that go away. Because I remember growing up in Scared Straight. I remember that. Okay, so American Negro said, I'm 56 and retired, never spent a minute in jail, but I was a mischievous child. I grew up in North Philadelphia, so I knew what my kids were going through and how to handle it. I know that Danielle is going to teach and interact with Michelle differently than I interacted with her. But I'm going to say this, and I mean it. One of the challenges is parents think it's cute when their kids are talking back, when their kids are doing certain things when they're young, and they don't correct it. So by the time they get to middle school, it's too late to correct it.
Yep.
I'm going to give you an example, shall we? During middle school, not during high school, not high school, elementary school, Danielle was afraid of me. And I was okay with it. I'm going to tell you why. Because she knew if I had to come to that school for anything other than a awards or honors program or regular teacher parent conference, there were going to be consequences and repercussions. I don't know if you remember your teacher, Mr. Stitt.
Was that fourth grade? Fifth grade?
Yeah.
He had white hair.
Third or fourth grade.
He had white hair, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will never forget this. I went to a teacher parent conference and he was telling me how good of a student you were. And he said, I hope you don't take this wrong, Miss Jones, but Danielle is a really good kid. She's so smart, and whatever you're doing with her, she is, it really shows. And I said, well, what you mean? I said, what do you mean? He says, well, back in those days, you have green light, yellow light, red light. Okay. So a green light, everybody doing what they're doing. Cause he was saying that, Danielle talks, and I can understand that because I know my child. And, she's really smart. Danielle talks a lot, and sometimes, she talks a little bit too much when I'm trying to, And so and I understood that. He says, but this time, it's green light behavior. Yellow light is basically a warning. Okay. Red light is when they have to notify the parent. So apparently during this teacher parent conference, he's telling me about this instant that he kept telling Danielle to be quiet. She wasn't quiet. He had to keep telling her. So she got a yellow light on her attendance thing, on the board. Apparently she had a meltdown.
Yep.
She had a meltdown. And he said, Danielle, why are you upset? I have to tell my mother. He says, no, we don't have to tell your mother. This is yellow light. We don't have to tell your mother. No, but you don't understand. My mother knows everything. I've got to tell my mom.
Oh, Lord. That's funny.
So she knew there were consequences and repercussions. But she also knew for her, I'd go to jail, and for her, I'd die, even to this day. But I had rules. I had to, because again, kids are going to act out anyway. It's just the nature of the beast. But if you don't set the foundation early, so they know that there's going to be consequences to the behavior, by the time they're in middle school, they're going to think they can whoop your ass. What are your thoughts on that, Danielle?
I mean, yeah. Because yesterday we saw Michelle's first tantrum. That was fun. Poor Kevon, he was so over it. He's like, I can't. I said, you want more kids? It just gets worse. So, but I was telling, of course, you both know, but it's just one of those things that what I think Sir Hell said in one of the comments, people are managing kids. They're not raising kids anymore. And that's 100% true, because it's like, I'm not even saying I'm raising children. I'm raising an adult. That's who I'm raising. I'm raising an adult to be an adult in society. So that means an adult needs to have emotional awareness, emotional control, impulse control. So that means when you have a tantrum, I don't beat you for having a tantrum and then you have closed up emotions and you go crazy at school. I let you process it. Like, okay, you're upset. I will wait till you're done being upset. Then when you come down, okay, what did we learn from being upset? Because you have to teach children how to work through pain, work through rejection, work through anxiety. But they don't do that crap in school. They're not supposed to. That's what the parents are for. So you got all these kids being untaught how to deal with themselves. They get challenged for the first time in their life. There's nobody there to prepare them for how to deal with this. So that's a fight or flight response. And their fight or flight, that's instinct. There's no training there. So then you have these kids basically, tearing each other apart because there was nobody there to teach them to safeguard and to have boundaries and to communicate, and these are the things that are happening. So that's why I'm like, for me, I, as a parent, have to think way ahead of Nichelle in the way of saying, okay, she's going to come into this toddler phase. Who can I have around her? How are they raising their kids? Because she will emulate what she sees. So I have to think like this. Now, again, I realize I'm very privileged. I do not take my privilege for granted that I can be picky like this. Not everybody has that ability. Right. But it is something that regardless, we should all think about who have kids. We are raising adults. So if you don't want your coworker going crazy and grabbing a pair of scissors, why would you want to let a kid do that now? Because that's what's going to happen.
You make a good point, because again, you all know, I really would love to hear the educators. She said, can you imagine incorporating corporal punishment on these kids today? I have worked years in education, and I know it is. One of the things, and it's so funny. My English teacher in high school, when you're in school, you think your teachers are so much older than you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. My English teacher in high school is a soror of mine, but now I know how old she is. They're not much older than you, but there were rules. There were rules. Miss Thomas, Miss, what we had, there were decorum, there were boundaries. There are none now. There are none.
But it's
And
because of the parents, man. I'm telling you.
well, and there was one that we felt that our teachers cared about. It's because of that there are still some teachers that are my Facebook friends. That are my Facebook friends.
I
Okay.
have Facebook friends with some of my teachers from high school. Yeah. Like, and again, on top of that, one thing I did notice that wasn't a thing when I was in school, teachers are much younger. Much younger. They were not this young. When I was in high school, I wasn't seeing a 22-year-old teacher. Like, it wasn't that young. I think the youngest teacher I had in high school was in their 40s. Like, the youngest one I ever had. Like, when I was at Woodbridge,
Yeah.
I don't think I saw any maybe teaching assistants, maybe, maybe a sub was in their 30s, maybe. But I'm seeing more teachers my age teaching high school. I'm like, whoa.
And here's the challenge. One of the challenges. I can teach my child, I can teach Danielle all day long. You can teach Nichelle all day long to do what needs to be done. But the issue is when she comes in contact with the kids who are not taught that. That is the problem. That is the problem. Listen, we are here because I'm 54, you 56. I remember those days. So my buddy and I used to get paid defending and taking up for other kids. Hey, listen, we had to walk at least 2 miles. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Because now that's child endangerment now.
It
can't even let your kid walk home from school no more. That's child endangerment.
It's crazy.
I'm like, dang,
even that, they're not taught survival skills, and because of that, as much as we wanted good for our children, I think we failed them because me and your aunt, we walked home from school through the alleys, and it was like we had and we had the perverts, they were hanging out in the alleys and all that kind of stuff. But when we hit the alley, like buck, and we take off, running. Shout out to Uncle Stu and thank you for the super chat.
Oh, okay. Sir Hale, again, my sentiment exactly what Sir Hale said. He said involvement is a lost word when it comes to parenting because we often fail to plan for children. We just have them and let the chips fall where they may. And I'm like, sir, you ain't said nothing more true. That's 100% the truth. Like, people just be having babies and be like, oh, they'll be all right. I'll let the school system raise them. I'll let them do whatever. And it's like, okay, like that's what you're gonna do, and you think that's gonna produce good results?
Listen to Eugene. He says I was 25 when I first started teaching, and that's what I'm saying because Miss Thomas, she was probably 25 and between 23 and 25, and I'm in high school because she may be 60 or 61. I'm 54, so that's not much older than me. But again, there was a position that we assumed they were so much older than we were. And some of them just weren't. Says, but I was conscious about the teachers that listen. Okay, sure enough. Sir Hale,
you heard what I said about
what
Sir Hale said?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna pull that up, and it's true. I didn't plan for my daughter. My mom didn't plan for me and my sister. Again, we go back to that village concept because my mother was a teenager when she had me and my sister. There was a village concept, but even when I didn't plan for Danielle and I was in the military, there was still a village concept because I had people around my child who I vetted seriously, especially in the military. I had, going around, I had to be fully engaged as to who was going to be around my child. But here's the thing, my focus was her, not me. And I'm not saying I did everything right, because you all know how I didn't. But involvement, you're absolutely right. Because even though I didn't plan for her, I knew what I wanted for her. I was involved. It's so interesting, Sir Hale, you're so right, because I was so involved in her school, even though I was in the military. I
Mm-hmm.
was so involved in her school things. When she got to high school and thought that I might not make a teacher parent conference, or I might not make an honors program, she was totally and completely disappointed, because that was her norm. I was at everything.
I mean, my mom flew cross country. I saved my dad, I think 7th grade or whatever. And for y'all who don't know, I'm a pretty good math student. I do well enough in math.
She's
So I had a huh?
excellent, excellent
So
math student.
I had a teacher who was awful and was failing me in math. And when my mom found out, she's like, "Oh, that's impossible. That's not possible." And so she flew from Virginia to California for a parent teacher conference, because she was like, there is no way my child is failing math. There's something else going on here. And she was right, because that teacher was horrible. Like, horrible. Because they got me transferred out of her class. I went to another teacher. My D, I think, went to a B within less than a semester. So it was the teacher. She was horrible. But this just goes to show, again, she flew cross country for a parent teacher conference.
There was
That
no
lets you
Zoom.
know her involvement.
There was no Zoom back then. But conversations with Ken Lawrence, he makes a very good point, because again, it's something you don't think about when you're in school. The ages were close, but the level of respect that kids gave teachers was much higher. And that's it. And that's the
That's
bottom
true.
line.
Yeah, you didn't cross. The only time we ever acted up in school was when we had a sub. Let our teacher be there. It's not. Nope.
See, here's the thing. Red lipstick vibes. I was a latchkey kid. See,
What
it's not
a what?
what they call latchkey kids, because she said my neighbor leaves her young kids home alone all the time, and I watch over them, and she doesn't even know it. What? I sometimes had to feed them because she left them. See, that's the problem. That's a problem right there. The fact that you're doing it and she don't even know it, because see, my latchkey kid is basically when you're left at home by yourself. Me and your
Oh yeah, I did that. You did that with me.
but latchkey is much. Me and your aunt were like 7 and 8 and
I think
9.
I was like 10. I
You were
think when you started. Was
you
I
were,
12?
you were 11. You were
11.
11.
Okay, but I was young. I just knew I wasn't, because I was
You were
I was
11
young
because
enough.
we were living on the base at the time.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So me, 6, 7, and 8, and 9, me and my sister were at home alone because my mom had to work. But guess what? In the apartment community, we had surrogate aunts who knew that we were home and checked in on us, made sure we had stuff to eat, because we were poor. I ain't gonna lie. But that's a dip. The fact, see again, and we bonded together. And
Well,
and I
nowadays,
appreciated that.
nowadays, oh dang, that's sad for sure.
You need to report her. I'm just saying.
Anyway, but nowadays with the village concept, we can't do that really in my generation, versus y'all's, because it's not that we can't entirely. My generation has to just be 20 times more skeptical, because the level of pedophile that my generation deals with is
Astronomical.
it's just astronomical. Like, and it's not like, oh, you're leaving them with a single man. Yeah, no, these dudes are married with multiple children, and they're pedophiles, like legit pedophiles, or they're rapists, or like, and even sometimes it's not just the parents; it could be the kids, man. Like, and it's just like, you can't. you have to think so aggressively that it just makes you not even want to do it. Like, because it's just so exhausting. Like, when I think about Michelle's friends, that's why I'm like, I have no rush to get her into school, because that means I got to do background checks. I got to do assessment, emotional checks. I need to check out if there's any boys in the house. I need to, like, boys around the house. Like, it's so exhausting that it's just to the point I don't even want to do it. Like, if it's not my mama, I don't want you around. Like, because it's just so much stress. It's like, I just can't. And then on top of that, what your generation didn't have to deal with, that mine does, it's not just the boys, it's the girls now.
Yeah.
Because now, oh, well, didn't you hear that, girls and girls can be together, and, oh, yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, there's so much more foolishness that it's like, I don't have time. I don't have time. Like, it's just, I don't have the capacity to have you around my kid if I didn't background check and vet you, or you're not immediate family.
And see, here's the thing, and I don't know, and I'm grateful, even with the hard times that we had, I'm grateful for my upbringing. I'm gonna tell you why. Because there's still some rules I go by. When a child comes to my house to visit or whatever, I let the parents know, when they're under my care, there are two things you need to be mindful of. The good thing is, I'm gonna treat them like they mine. The bad thing is, I'm gonna treat them like they mine. So that means you can get this smoke. And I say, if you can't handle that, you might not want them to stay with me. Because my thing is, I have rules. I have rules. And even with, let's go back to your middle school in Virginia Beach. I'm a single mom. All the kids in the neighborhood wanted to hang out at my house when we lived in the townhouse.
Oh, yeah, our house was the party house, yeah.
I had rules though, and they knew that. They respected me. And some of them came from two-parent households. They knew when they came to Miss Terry's house, I was about the real.
But again, that's something that doesn't exist anymore, Ma. So I'm trying to tell you, it doesn't exist anymore because it can't. It can't exist anymore. Like what the funk said, women are just as bad now. When you were raising me, it wasn't, because this is what the major difference is. People had to hide their impulses and their dirty thoughts and their secret obsessions and passions. They don't hide them anymore. Because, like you said, there's no real consequences anymore. It's accepted. Like, and so that's the problem. Or like, I just can't. Like, again, unless I have known you for decades, but even then, I still am going to vet you. Because there's people I can know for a decade who you have a low-key pedophile thoughts that I didn't know about. I don't live with you. I don't know what you do. I don't know what, subscriptions you were part of on OnlyFans. I don't know what you be looking at. So it's like, unless you are immediate family, like you, like, I just don't have her around people like that. There's only a few people Nichelle will be left alone with at this current time. You and her godparents.
And
On
of
like a
course,
regular basis,
I mean, of
because
course,
everyone, there's others, but it's like they got their own kids.
they,
But
or
on
they
the
live far, or they live
they live
far.
far. So, but that's the point. I have plenty of people who have friends with kids, and it's not to say that I distrust them or nothing like that. I'm not saying it, but it's just, until I can get a gauge of how our kids will interact and how their kids will like my child, and that I can know that there's a good dynamic there. I don't want Nichelle to ever feel unsafe. And what the funk, you are completely right. Because now that is the norm. Again, before y'all come for me, I'm not trying to get canceled. But with the transgender, non-binary, it's so much now. And it's to the point that it's overwhelming for me. It's like, I just can't. I just can't. Mommy, you froze. Yeah, you froze real bad. She completely gone. Oh, shut up. What the fuck? I saw your comment. Oh no. But yeah, y'all. I guess again, this is another reason y'all don't see my child very much. I'm very much kind of private person when it comes to my kid. But don't crucify me. I just have my own concerns when it comes to. I don't think I'm even letting the show have slumber parties. I know that's bad when you say it now, but yeah, because it's just too much stress. It's too much like anxiety for me. Like thinking, oh my God, what are they talking about? Oh my God, are they touching her inappropriately? Or is she exploring something that she didn't mean to? Or like, it's just too much back and forth. And I just can't. Like, I'm like, I have too much anxiety about it. And if I have anxiety about it, I can't be okay with it. Now, again, when she gets older and has her own mind and her own thinking, I'm fine with it. But with nowadays, they're like taking these babies at like 4 and 5 and trying to force different ideas on them. And I'm like, they don't even know who they are yet. Why are you trying to give them a different? Can y'all hear me still? I hope so. But my mom just called. She said she lost connection. So she just called me and will be back in a minute. Because I don't know what happened to her connection. But either way, oh, not the community. I always thought they would have canceled me. I said it. And there's things gonna get canceled. I thought it was me because I said it. I said the comment. I don't care if they cancel me. I'm not important enough. I'm not a big celebrity or someone important. I'm just a regular smegular person. But I guess just overall, comment so I can see y'all can hear me, and if you have questions, it's just me and you guys for now because I'm just waiting for my mom to get back. I'll just having a conversation by myself and speaking to myself. So that's all I got. I guess another thing, because I know my mom was talking about, I don't know if y'all have heard of it, but there is this thing on, I think, the Poor Man's podcast. And it was basically about this substitute teacher who got fired because she wouldn't address the student who identified as a cat, which I thought was the funniest crap I have ever seen. I was like, you legit fired a teacher because she didn't want to meow to a child? That's the world we live in, guys. That. I was like, who does that? Like, who thinks this is okay? And it's like, and that's why when she showed me that video with that young man getting beat on, I was surprised, yes, because it was to the extent, but it's like that's just how much the schools don't protect our kids, man. They just don't. Like, I feel like they're just so scared to discipline children. It's like, I don't know what is going on with people nowadays. And it's just like, I can't believe this is the world we live in now. Like that it's just like you can be anything you want. You can be a dinosaur, you can be a cat, and we'll just address you as I'm like, it's a child. People, stop letting children run everything. They're supposed to have boundaries. That's healthy. They're supposed to be told no. That's part of life. That's rejection. You can't be everything you want to be. Okay? That's just what it is. But people weird nowadays, y'all. I don't know. That's why I'm like, yeah, I'm team homeschool. I'm team, just keep my kid at home as long as possible. And not saying that she won't be social with other kids because she will, but it's just like, man, public school don't care about our kids, man. I've come to that decision, and it's really I don't know if it happens in other countries because I'm only been in the U.S., but I hope other countries are better. I hope, because if not, we're all screwed. Like, it's just like, it's just horrible because, man, like, kids need to really be taught how to be adults, and that it's important for them to understand how to not only have the emotional control, but just how to adapt to things that don't go the way that they want it to go. And it's like by giving kids everything and letting them have everything that they want, you don't teach them any perseverance. You don't teach them any long suffering. You don't teach them how to overcome when they fail. They're just giving everything. And it's like, that's not reality, because when they get their first job and they get a customer that cusses them out, they're just going to crumble to pieces or try to shoot up their job. Like, and it's like, this is the problem. It's like, you have to prepare these kids for reality, because reality is rough. Life sucks, man. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like, life will smack you in the face and keep pushing. Okay. Like, I remember working jobs at like 14, and I'm like, is this life? Bro, this crap sucks. And it's just, you got to make sure that you prepare these kids for what is really to come and not the reality we paint for them at home. Hey, Ma.
So I don't know what was going on. I really
What
don't.
the fuck said the Illuminati came after you? I was having a good monologue though. I was talking. I was trying. Okay.
I'm going to catch it on the replay. You know, see that's what happens when you grow your children up real, and they can switch on a dime. You understand me?
Okay, that's me. Hey y'all.
You know, they can turn on a dime and they don't lose a S. I did that. I did that.
Oh my gosh.
I did that. Yes. I did that.
I talked to them about the whole, I didn't know if you were going to show the clip, but I already talked about it. The teacher who got fired for not addressing the kid as a cat.
Okay, let's show it right now then.
I talked to her. I was like, this
I'm going to show it right now. I'm going to show it right now.
I was like, get out of here, bro. This is ridiculous.
They said you did a great, I'm going to have to catch that on the replay.
I was trying, man. I never had the monologue before. I was like, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna jump in.
Shout out to the Poor Man Podcast, because I saw this, that he posted this. So I'm gonna shout out to him. Check this out.
What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Give me the HBO special. That's help for that special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Let's get right into the video.
Okay, I've got to rant for a minute. Just when I thought school couldn't get any weirder, it did today. I'm a sub, and the most important thing we do is take rolls so the school gets paid. Oh, I'm looking at the seating chart as I'm going up and down the rows and marking who's here and who's not. I get to the third row and I hear this, meow. Excuse me? Excuse me? I start looking on the ground. Go to the fourth row, everything's good. Go to the fifth row, everybody's there. Then I hear, meow. I'm like, okay, what's up with that? Who's doing it? And this little girl in the very front row says, you have to meow back at him. He identifies as a cat. Are you kidding me? Said, is there a litter box in here somewhere? My sarcasm self probably shouldn't have said that. Gets up and storms out of the classroom. And I'm like, rough. And of course, the entire class is laughing. And I think, no problem, no foul. I go to the office. You ready for this? You check out. They said, we no longer need your services. If you can't identify with all the children in the classroom, and you wonder why they don't have any subs. I told the lady, I said, I didn't know cats were considered people. I thought they were pets.
Yeah.
Other school, off my list.
When they brought her in the office and sat her down and fired her, she should have said, no. I identify as the principal. You're fired. She's right. Cats are pets, and pets are animals. Animals aren't even allowed on school premises. So if your kid believes it's a pet or an animal, you need to keep your kid at home. Because where does this stuff end? Does this stuff end with meowing, or can a kid walk around and randomly scratch people because he identifies as a cat? If another kid starts to identify as a bird, should I let the kid jump off the school balcony because he believes he can fly? And these are the slow steps that's going to get us to the point where we can't say anything. There is going to be no more freedom of speech, because if you don't comply with these crazy ideologies, they want you out. It started with people just getting canceled. Then people actually started to physically get deplatformed. People were getting taken off social media and nobody said anything. Now it's getting to the point where regular, everyday Americans are getting fired from their jobs. And it's crazy because there are so many people that just think, if I just stay quiet, if I just keep to myself, maybe they'll just leave me alone. Newsflash, they are coming for you. While our competition, China's building hypersonic nuclear missiles and training their boys to be...
Okay, listen. So there you have it.
I already told her. I said, I have never seen something so stupid. And it's like, I had talked about them while you were gone. I was telling them too, just with this foolishness going on, it's like, that's why I'm hesitant to have slumber parties for Michelle. At least not until she's past that. Maybe I would say high school, because high school, for the most part, maybe middle school, will depend on how her development is. But there's a certain age where they kind of set into who that they think that they are. So they're a little bit more confident in their stance on things. But it's like, until she's at that point, I don't need too many outside influences trying to tell her who she should be. Because that's where I think the issue comes in with this transgender, non-binary, asexual, all this stuff, is like, you're trying to tell kids who you think they should be because you're an adult, and you thought if someone would have told me at that age, maybe I wouldn't be so confused. No, kids are supposed to be confused. They've only been in the world X number of years. They are not supposed to know yet. By the time they get to puberty and start to feel those certain hormones, then that's when you guide them to show them, hey, this is the way to do it. This is what this means. This is what these urges mean. But if you're telling a 5-year-old about transgender and about non-binary and homosexuality to the point that you're confusing their sexual identity, then yeah, they don't know who the heck that they are. And they think they got to be a boy if they're a girl, because there's just too much information shoved in their face. Like, I just don't get why we do that to kids. Because, me and Kevon, we're pretty not non-traditional. We are traditional. But like, example, so we were shopping for Nichelle, right? We she's getting into bigger kid clothes because, gosh, she's a huge kid. So we were in H&M, right? So I go to the girl section. I was like, okay, yeah, some of these clothes are cute, but there were some clothes in the guy section or the boys. I'm like, this is a fire sweatsuit. I don't believe that she can't wear a sweatsuit because she's a girl. There's nothing wrong with wearing sweatsuits if you're a girl. I have like 6 of them. And that's where I think the gender roles get so like extreme. It's like, if you have a boy who wants to dance, it doesn't make him gay. Or if I have a daughter who wants to be a mechanic, doesn't make her a dyke. Like that's not what that means. It's just that's something that they like to do. That you can't be gender specific on certain jobs. Like that's where you get a lot of this confusion, because they're like, oh, well, I like working on cars and that's only boys do that, so I guess I must be gay then, or I might think I'm a boy because I like to do what boys like to do. No, that doesn't mean that. It just means you like different things. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I'm about to grow some people real. I'm about to grow you real today. First of all, if you are a parent and you're stupid enough to let your child decide what they're going to be between the ages of 0 to, like what Danielle said, then you're the problem.
Facts.
This is not about, gender bashing. It's none of that. But don't put that in your kid's head. Here's another thing. I've been seeing these commercials about, these different pharmaceuticals. And then they'll say, if you are assigned female at birth, excuse me?
What do you mean assigned? You're either female or male.
You
can't be assigned something.
Born. That's the problem. That is the bull crap. Assigned female at birth. No, you were born female or you're born male. Stop the madness.
Like, I saw something, and this is, again, people, I'm not saying this to be mean. I really want to understand as best as I can. When I saw a post that said raising kids gender fluid, I said, hold up. What do you mean gender fluid? You can't go down an assembly line and decide what organ you want. You're born with it. Like, you can't switch it up when you feel like it. It's either you're a woman and you got ovaries and can make babies, or you're a man who can get her pregnant. There's no other way around it. Like, you can't pick one when you get a certain age and decide to be, I'm a boy today. Like, that's not how that works. So I don't know if, I could be misunderstanding. I am not someone who is against being told what that means. But when I read it, it's like common sense. I'm not even putting my religion in it. common sense is like, how is that even possible? You can't pick your gender, your boy or your girl. Even if you take the boy parts and make it into a girl part, you can never conceive children, ever. So you will always be a boy. I don't understand it. I just don't. Because you can't. You can look like a woman, smell like a woman, walk like a woman. You will always be a man if that's what you were born to be. Like, I just can't understand. So
A male.
I just want
A
someone to
male.
explain it to me.
Well, and here's the thing. When people make their choices, or as it relates to if you believe that you are born a certain way and you get to an age that you can make that determination, that is your right. The
Yes.
problem that I have is parents don't do that to your children. My oldest nephew who plays the horn would come over and play with Danielle. Guess what? He played with the toys that were there, which were girl toys. Period. It didn't make him gay. He's as heterosexual as they come. When Danielle would go to visit over her cousin's house, she played with the toys that were there. They were mostly boy toys. It doesn't mean that she was lesbian. Y'all need to stop the foolishness.
Like, I think I saw on TikTok, it was an actual news story, but they had reshared it on TikTok. It's this white guy. I do not know his name. I really do, because I need to find it, because he be going at these people in a very good way. It's not unprofessional. But
Yeah.
the person that they were interviewing was saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to have my child be identified as a they be. A they be. So not a baby, a they be. And I said, frustration. But the guy was like, so you realize that, so let me tell you a story. My daughter is 4. And she one time came up to me and said, hey, Daddy, I'm a dinosaur today. And I said, okay, baby, you can be a dinosaur. She is 4. So based off your assumptions and calculations, I should really be taking this seriously and getting her some claws and scales. Because based off what you're saying, at 4, she should be able to decide what gender she is and who she identifies as. She is 4. So at this point, it is your agenda, not the child's, to call them a they be, because they identify as different animals when they feel like it. It's called imagination.
It's called pretend. Yes. And so again, going back to just how do we raise children in an anything goes culture?
Raise them suckers at home. That's how we raise them. And in all seriousness, what me and Kevon are talking about when it comes to the show, because we understand I'm going to unfortunately have to have the conversation about sexuality with my child before she even gets her period. Unfortunately, because of the world that we live in. I don't want her to be confused if we go to a mall and she sees a little boy with 2 moms or 2 dads. I don't want her to be like, well, Mom, why is that? She needs to know. But the key is educating her at home first. I don't want anybody telling my kids something before I get a chance to. Anybody. Be it you, Mom, her godparents, our friends' kids, nothing. And that even includes the sexual stuff. Like the stuff you see online, this explicit images. I want her to know what that is before she discovers it on her own, because I need her to understand what that stuff is rooted in, so she understands the fullness of what you could be entertaining. I don't want her to just see, oh, no, it's fine. It's just, they're just doing this together. No, this is what they're actually doing, honey. This is what it means. This is why it's not good for you to watch. And again, I don't want to have these conversations with my child. I would hope I didn't have to have them before she turned 10. But at this day and age, kids are losing their virginity at 10. It's freaking normal. It's like kids having sex in elementary school. I'm like, what is that? Like,
let me tell you why I'm bothered. I mean, there's so many reasons I'm bothered. I know, it's so funny that that I'm saying that I'm old now, but I guess I am compared to what's happening. I have two brothers. We have the same father. And a lot of times in the summer, we used to hang out with their friends. So I have several pictures growing up that him and his friends, and I mean, they were fine. And they were hanging out and got pictures of them hugging, bro, you can't do that now. Me and my friend of 40 plus years, we used to hug in the mall, walking down, sometimes we hold hands, but you can't do that now because they assume that you're gay or lesbian. That blows my mind. I can't even say, oh, my girlfriend so and so, because you have to qualify what girlfriend means. I'm offended by it. I'm offended that I have to change my whole vernacular on the strength that it's been I don't even want to say defiled, but it's been redefined to mean something else.
Yeah,
You know,
girl,
there
it's a
were
lot
there
now.
were many a days that you would see a man and his homies, in the car doing what they do. Nowadays, when you see that, you're wondering, well, are they a couple? Because they're making everything like that. So again, it's very important that you do have those conversations, because I had conversations with you when you were single digits, when you're like, I don't even like boys yet. I needed to tell you because of what was going on at the time. And what was going on at the time was kids that were going into the military couldn't go into the military because we had to notify them that they were HIV positive. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I had those conversations with my daughter early because again, I'd have to say, well, what does HIV look like? What does herpes look? What does someone with herpes look like? What does someone with HIV look like? They look like you and me. Period. So I had to have those conversations with her. When she got ready to go off to college, that's when it started happening for me. I had the conversations with her about being mindful of girlfriends. I said, because you may think they're just your friend, but they might actually be trying to court you and you might not even be aware of it.
And
So,
now it's past college. Now that's like middle school.
yes,
Like and that's the kind of stuff that I have to deal with. You know how what you just had to talk to me about was just HIV and herpes? I have to talk to her about pedophiles, about your little 5-year-old friend who might be trying to touch your private parts, about your little boyfriends that might be trying to touch your private parts, about the teacher that could touch your private parts, about like literally, I have to have so much more thorough conversations with a child because of how openly we have let everything loose. Just anything goes, everything's free, be who you are, don't hide yourself. And again, I am not bashing those who are gay or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying, but it's like when you put so much freedom in front of a child, it's overwhelming.
of course.
It would be like it's like, I think, what is it? Someone had a good comparison. It's like having a domesticated animal, like a dog, and just giving it out to the wild. What happens? They're not gonna know what the heck to do. They're like,
Well,
I don't know what to do.
that would be like Duke or Bradley.
Right? And they were like, I don't know what to do.
Okay.
I've been sheltered. I don't know what to do. But because you have to prepare them, you have to have these conversations extremely early. So if they see any of this behavior, they know, oh no, mommy told me that this isn't okay. So no. Because again, and we're not gonna use your cookie or your I'm gonna say your vagina. This is a penis. This is what does not go here. Like, I have to be extremely blunt. I'll have to show her pictures. I'll have to, like, it'll be things again. I don't want to show a 5-year-old. I don't
And
want to
see,
do
and here's the thing. You make a very good point. You're overwhelming them. So how do you allow them to even be a child anymore? How do you
that.
even allow them to be a child anymore?
You in today's time, unless they're at home, they really can't be, because child is innocence. and innocence is being stolen left and right. There are kids being molested by their own teachers, their caregivers, their, friends, siblings. Like it's just sex everywhere. And it's overwhelming to the point, like, I feel bad for people growing up in this day and age, which is why, again, I'm not anti-school in any way, but that's why I'm gonna be a homeschooling mom, because I need my child, at least for the first few years of her life, to be protected. Have minimal outside influences until she can get her own thinking. Own thinking enough, exactly. And that's why, again, I even safeguard what cartoons she watches. Like I'm over here watching it with her. Okay, what are they doing in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse? Okay, this is cool. This is cool. Okay, cool. She can watch this. And that's why majority of the time I have her watch the cartoons I grew up on. And I'm not saying all of them, because some of them were a little bit suspect too. But like, Backyardigans, or, Blue's Clues, you
Rugrat.
know, exactly, like things like that I know are just pure joy and pure innocence. Those are the things I have her watching, because again, I'm not saying, y'all, that I'm going to shelter her to the point she's not prepared for life. It's just there's a time to have these conversations, and as long as I can keep my daughter at home, I will have them at the appropriate time. Definitely, if she ever does go to regular school, we're going to have a full thorough talk, like, because she's going to need to know everything.
Okay, and see, and I really feel bad for these kids, and I'm gonna tell you, I feel bad for these kids. Going back to Janet Jackson. Uh, when I think about the music, Janet Jackson's music, that was the coming of age for me in my group. I was thinking when I was listening to it, because I was dancing my ass off last night listening to the music that she was doing, and I think about that you, per se, Danielle, did not have the college experience that I had, because the music of the college experience was her whole Control album. And I mean, we were partying, we were having fun. I went to the University of Oklahoma. So the football players on their jerseys, "Oh, you nasty boys." Okay, we had fun. Y'all, you didn't even have that.
Nah, I worked.
And I worked too. I worked all the way through school. I mean, I had to. But just the whole, because even in college, even though you're technically grown, that's still a way that you can still be the innocence and sheltered from the real world that's out there. Your generation didn't have that.
No,
Hell,
we did. I wouldn't say, because I partied. I just didn't party until like 21, more so, because I partied a little bit, but it just, till you can drink, it really ain't that much fun. But this is where I will say it's actually worse than my generation. I had some I had some kid, like not kid, but I had some young adult pure fun. Definitely like between 21 and 22, in the club every weekend, turn up every weekend. So I had my fun, but for like my cousin, I would say her generation is worse, because sex trafficking wasn't
yes.
a concern when I was in college. It wasn't. Like, that wouldn't even be a thought that crossed my mind, that someone was gonna pull up in a van and take me away. It wasn't even, and I had been drunk many a nights. That was not even like a thought, so that wasn't a thing for me. But for my cousin, just 10 years after me, that is a thought for her.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
has to. She doesn't get the luxury, and I want to say luxury, it really, it's a reach, but you know how you can just be free and be like, oh yeah, I'm hammered on the strip. You can't be that now. You can't, because they are predators now, looking to take you home, and not in a good way.
And check
Like,
this out. And
it's
some of
bad.
the predators are female.
And they're your age. People think, oh, the predators are, oh, they're for, no, they be the good looking dudes in there.
No, there are your female friends that you think are your female friends is working with the traffickers. Seriously.
No, I've heard about it. I mean, I've heard about it at Target. But it's just, that's the point. I didn't have to think about that in college. The most I had to think about was someone trying to sleep with me after the club. That's the most I had to think about. I didn't have to think about, oh, I can't get too drunk because if I get in the wrong Uber, I could end up shot or killed or sorry. You know, I didn't have to think about being assaulted. I didn't have to think about being trafficked. Those thoughts never came into my mind when I was in college and partying. Those thoughts have to be in the mind of the girls going to college now.
And the boys.
Like it can't be a free, oh, just let loose. If you want to be free and let loose, party at home.
Okay, Shay Davis says something here. You know, I have a problem with it. You know,
it's just a lot of dysfunction, and that's what it's rooted in. It's just dysfunctional.
Because see, if I see you and you look and you are a man, I'm gonna call you the way I see it. Now you can correct me and you can say that you will call me. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing they, and I'm not doing any of it. He or she for me. Period.
Are you done?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So yeah, that's just my point on it. Because again, with me having a daughter, I have to just think so differently than what I had anticipated. But again, I'm blessed to where I have more control of her environment because I work from home. So there won't really ever be a time where she's alone. And a lot of stuff that happens with kids happens when they're alone, happens when there's no one there to safeguard them. And that won't be her portion by the grace of God, because someone will always be at home, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's Kevon. She won't have, and it's not about not having freedom. I want her to go out. I want her to go to the movies. I want her to go shopping with her friends and go to the mall. That's not what I'm saying. But it's that I will have trackers on her too. Absolutely. And they will be hidden. Because and it's not about me trying to call her out. Like I expect her to try to sneak off to some boy's house. I did it. I'm not about to be here. Oh my God. Huh? Oh, you lost you again. Perfect time. But I expect like Nichelle to try to sneak out and do all those things. But when I was a kid, I had what? There you go. Oh, there you are. What'd you say?
Wait a minute. Did you say you snuck out?
Oh yeah,
it's like boys' house.
It's like all the time. What you don't know won't hurt you. But it was just the point with today versus when I snuck out. Like this is the difference, which is why I said I'll have trackers on her. When I snuck out, it was down the street. You know, kids, they sneak out, get in the car and dip to the other side of town. You know, and that's the issue. So it's like, I need to know where you're at, because if something happens to you, I need to know your last pinned location.
Yeah.
That's why I would have a tracker on her. It's not about, if I see her move, it's not about me calling you out and embarrassing you. I'll wait till you get home and I probably won't even say anything to you. Probably won't. Because again, I did it. I'm not about to sit here and be a mom who's like, I can't believe she did this. I don't know where she gets it from. No, I'm not. I can't be that. But it's just the point of the luxury of being able to not worry about your kid's location is something we don't have as parents now. We have to know. Because again, even as a Black mother, they don't look for us when we go missing.
So let me ask you this. So knowing what we know, has it changed you and Kevon's outlook about having more children?
Absolutely. Like, you know, we talk about, like I said, we probably want another kid. But we are not reckless, I guess is the better word. You know how being able to just have kids not planned is a privilege. it's a privilege now because we
You mean
don't have
planned or not planned?
not planned. Because like the more unplanned children you have, these are people who will shape society.
Mm.
And like the damage now is more seen than
But
it
how is that
was.
a privilege? I guess I'm
Because
missing that.
people who are being reckless, that is something that you are privileged to be as reckless. You are being privileged to be reckless because you guys can be reckless and it be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like if your mama having you, okay, yeah, it was a little reckless. She had you guys young, but y'all turned out all right. You know, y'all didn't turn out to be, you know, because the privilege was there was a village, there was people around.
Yeah.
We don't have that now.
So it's not a privilege.
So it's like, you know, you trying to be out here
It's
just
stupid.
doing it. It's just stupid. Like it's like we don't have that luxury to just, oh yeah, whatever. I had all these kids. You are damaging people now. It's like, you know, the damage could be covered up a little bit more with y'all. You know, now it's like you out here having kids recklessly, like you out here just trying to make the next, you know, sociopath. Like that's what
You
you
know,
do.
you make a good point. I don't know if I told you this. You know, God rest her soul, my neighbor and friend. I used to sometimes would need me to pick up her daughters from school. And one time I had to go pick up her daughter. I think she had to be 8 at the time from elementary school. And I go and the mom tells me where to pick her up. So I'm waiting in line in the car line and she doesn't come out. So I finally go into the school and I said, you know, I'm looking for, you know, so and so. And they said, oh, she's in the office. So I go in the office and I said, why? First of all, I said, why is she in the office? Well, she was being disruptive in class. And so we had to send her to the office so she could, you know, sit at the desk outside the principal's office. So I'm already hot because again, you know, I'm going back to my days of you being in school.
Mm-hmm.
So I go look for her, and instead of her sitting at the desk that's outside the principal's office, she's underneath the desk with
Wow.
with her shoes off. And I said, get up. And I said, did you hear what I said? I said, get up. She did. I bring her home with me and I tell her mom, you know, and I'm so embarrassed. I said, no need to be embarrassed. I said, you know, handle it though. But see, kids know what they can get away with
Oh yeah.
because she would punk her mom on a regular. And she said, I just can't get them to listen. I said, well, I don't have a problem when they're over here.
And it's the same over here. And that's what I be telling people. I'm like, because I don't know if you've heard of this thing, you know, this trend of gentle parenting, right? Here's my thing. I believe in a lot of things about gentle parenting. I do. I do believe you should be slow to hit your kids. You should be slow to get mad at them and I believe in those things. When Michelle throws a little tantrum, I talk to her. I don't be like, why are you crying? Like, I mean, she's a kid. She's a baby, you know. But is there certain levels she will not cross with me? There sure enough is. Just because you're upset gives you no right to hit. It gives you no right to fall out on the floor like you ain't got no sense. It gives you no right to do any of these things. Because in the real world, that gets you hit. So she will learn you can be upset. You can cry. You can ask for a hug. But you do not cross boundaries. There's limits here. I mean, you remember, you know, you were over my house and there was a child of about 2 that was there.
Yes.
I've learned, I thought all 2-year-olds were the same. I did. I didn't know. I have a 9-month-old, y'all, so I'm still a new parent. So I was like, oh yeah, they're all the same. It's fine. No, they're not. But what I've learned is it's based off the parenting.
Yes.
It's entirely based off the parenting. Because when I hear people, oh, you know, the 3s are horrible, the 2s are horrible. I can say there could be some truth. I can see some tantrums coming. But it's down to the parenting. Because I have a friend of mine who has a 3 going on 4-year-old. I've known him since he's probably about 2.5. He may act a fool at home, possibly, but I have not ever seen him act a fool in public or at anybody's house. Ever.
Listen,
So it comes down to how you raise your kid, because even though the kid may not know what he's doing, because I don't think kids know about manipulation, I don't think they understand the concept,
no,
but what I
no,
do think that they know is that, oh, when I do this one thing I get this reaction, so I'm gonna keep doing this one thing because this is what gives me what I want. That's what
yeah,
they do understand. They understand cause and effect. So if you let them, I don't know, run all over the furniture because it keeps them quiet, they'll do that crap at other people's house because they, oh, well, I can do it at home, so I can do it. No, you can't. They
and
can't.
Mills, check this out. You know what? With Danielle and also some of her friends and even some of the kids that would come around that I would watch, I said, "Oh, you got an attitude? Oh, you do? Well, guess what? I'm the attitude adjuster. Pleased to meet you."
I remember when I used to babysit. It was in Virginia Beach. It was the twins I used to
Yeah,
babysit.
yeah.
I will never, because I say this line anytime I would watch kids when I was younger. I said, there are two versions of Dani you can get to know. There's the nice Dani, and then there's the mean Dani. Your choices dictate who you meet today.
You got that from me.
So I said that to the boy twin, both of them. The girl twin, own it, ate her food, fine. The boy twin had a whole tantrum. I locked that boy in the bathroom and let him cry. And he cried for a good 30 minutes till he ran out of breath and would just sit there. Like, are you done? Okay, well, are you going to eat your food? Okay, then come out now.
And that's the bottom, because even with
I'm not doing it. I'm just like,
the
I'm not.
2-year-old that Danielle's talking about, when I came over, because I came over, I had to see it with my own eyes. And both his parents were present. Uh, I got him to do some things because I'm very deliberate. I said it once, I'll say, I don't play with children. I don't. So I'll give you an example. And his parents were there, but he dropped something on the floor, playing around to pick it up. He looked, I said, pick it up. He not pick it up. I start counting. I said, 1. Guess what? He picked it up. He knew I wasn't playing. And guess what? That was the first time he met me.
Yeah.
That was the first time he met me.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not playing. So it works.
Like, because again, that, like, I think Red, was it Red Lips, Lipstick Vibes, said it, kids respond to authority. And that's exactly what it is. I'll never forget it. I was in high school and I was dating Matt or whatever. He had his little younger brother.
Yes, Lord.
That boy ran over the mom because he was a baby. He couldn't do nothing wrong. He did whatever he wanted. And I remember I was eating something. And again, how he was raised or being raised, I can just grab something off your plate and I'll have to ask. He tried to do the order. I said, we don't do that. And he, because again, he's not used to someone checking him. So he got real scared. I said, if you want something from me, you say please and thank you. Do you understand me? And for a while, he was scared to come stand next to me. And I said, did you want a grape? He said, yes. What do you say? Can I have a grape, please? And what do you say after? Thank you. And every time he saw me, he's like, can I have, please? Thank you. Every time. He didn't do it anybody else. He did it with me. Because he learned.
They didn't make him. They didn't make him. Exactly.
He learned. But again, that's the point. He was maybe 3. He wasn't incapable of learning. It's just you have to be consistent and deliberate and authoritative. I wasn't nasty. I wasn't cussing him out or hitting him. It's just the point. You have to be consistent. You cannot just let kids do whatever for the sake of hurting their feelings. You have to get them in order.
Yes.
Like,
and this is you said you deal with children with autism, and I teach. That's amazing, because parents who want to be parents want to learn how to do it better.
And that's just the key. Like I said, my mom, we didn't have the best time when I was maybe like a teenager age because I got, mouthy and stuff, but I will give her credit where credit is due. If you need her to watch your young kids, they shall be in line. They ain't going, because she's consistent. She's not nasty. She's not out here popping hands and popping butts all day, but she'll say, do you want pow pow? Just know what that means.
And they know what it means. I
Like,
said,
so,
"You
like, no. So it's just, but the point is, it's not, you don't have to be the aggressive spanker to get them to understand boundaries. And just like, again, if I do something and Nichelle wants boundaries with me, or like says, Mommy, I don't like that. Okay, that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just the point, respect is on both sides and boundaries are on both sides. And you have to teach that to them. Because again, I'm not going to have certain things that people do be done in my house. You can say I'm insensitive all you want, but my child will not be all up under my clothes. Boundaries. Boundaries. You will not be hiding under my dress. That's not cute. Like, it just won't happen. Y'all can let that happen with y'all kids. If that, more power to you. There are boundaries with me.
Wait a minute, hold
What?
on. Do you mean they can't? You said I have children that can't. Okay, so they can
They
or
can't
cannot.
even take their child out in public.
I'll be damned.
I mean,
I'll
good
be,
shoot. And it's again, when I bring the shower, they're like, oh my gosh, she's so calm. She's so well mannered. I don't know who y'all be raising, bro. Like, I'm not doing anything that astronomically different. I just set boundaries with my kid early. Like, real early. Like, probably earlier than most people do. Because Nichelle didn't sleep in my room for but 6 weeks. She was in her room immediately. And like, I made sure she knew boundaries. I didn't do that whole thing of, oh, I just want her on me. Because I listened to my nail tech lady who has 3 amazingly self-sufficient kids. And when I was pregnant, I was asking her all her wisdom because I'm like, I need kids like yours. Because they are well-oiled machines. Like, I need to know what you did. And so
and check it out. I'm like, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I asked her, she said, like, oh, I didn't hold my kids very much. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I only held them when they needed something. Other than that, I did not hold them because it builds a dependency on you. When you over affectionize them, like giving them too much affection, giving them too much attention to where they don't know how to be by themselves, it builds a crutch to their development. Because now they can't do anything unless mommy does it. Now they can't be anywhere by themselves unless mommy's here. And I was like,
and our nail tech, she's Asian, and we've been going to about 7 years, and we've literally watched those kids grow up.
And when I say
they are amazing.
The baby of the family was running the register.
Yes.
She running the register.
Yes. Yes.
Well-oiled machines. And again, they're not mean or lack of affection kind of people. I see how they interact with their kids, but it's just they're well-trained, well-raised.
And check this out. One of her children is special needs.
And you would have never known.
You can kind of tell, but even with that, he understands instruction. He helps in the business. Period.
Has a job.
Like in the salon, So
they got a real job too.
No, that's the oldest one.
Oh, that's the oldest one? Oh, okay.
The oldest one. Yeah, the oldest one works at Audi.
So it's just, that's the point. It all comes down to the raising. Like, kids are so capable of so much, but we don't, as a generation, I know for mine, don't take the time to cultivate that. We don't take the time to consistently put in the work to yield the results that we want for our kids. Because, I'm preparing myself to be a repeat person. No. On like at least 30,000 times a day. I'm prepared for that. Oh, heck no. we about to actually change the locks on our doors.
Well, check this out. She already has her own bed, and it trips me, not even a baby bed, a little toddler bed. And the other day I was over there, she was straight watching her program in her bed by herself, chilling. What? And she ain't even a year yet. Nope. Watching her educational program with her bottle, just looking at it and like, and I'm like, hey, Nick. And she's like, not even looking at me. I'm like, hey.
Like, she'll look like, oh, hey, yeah, okay.
But another thing I want to point out from last night that Janet Jackson talked about when she was talking about her parent, discipline without love is tyranny.
Yeah.
So we must, and even when I discipline her friends and Danielle, and sometimes I'm not going to say I didn't, get short or didn't handle things the best way, because again, that's another reason why it's so important to have two parents, because a lot of times as a single parent, you just get tired.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, I did give discipline with love, because that is important, because children respond to structure. They will.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna go back to when I talked about the alternative school that I worked in. These kids were some of the bad of the bad, gangbangers, truants. I mean, bad. But when I got put my uniform on, I had to get into character. And some of these kids, I was scared of. I ain't gonna lie, because they were. But when I was in character in my mode of drill instructor, I had to structure, discipline, put on my game face.
You have to.
And they bucked the system. They bucked me. Not physically. And some tried to threaten me, but I wasn't for it. But when it came time for teacher open house teacher parent conference, or when they graduated from the program, several of the parents came up to me and thanked me because they saw a difference in their child. I
Yeah.
incentivized them because I was going through ROTC at the time, and the incentive was for those who didn't get into trouble, who didn't get written up, who had their attendance on lock. They were going to be invited to come to my uh, Army commissioning ceremony when I became a second lieutenant. These these kids, again, considered the worst of the worst. I brought about 20 of those children to my commissioning ceremony because they worked to show that they could do it. And that's what they are needing. They needed someone to invest in them, but also to let them know there are consequences of your actions, but
Hmm.
there are also benefits to your actions.
Absolutely. And that's what kids need. Again, it's not about over consequences or, oh my gosh, you messed up, you will suck at life. Because life, you will fail. That's part of it. But what I plan to teach Nichelle is just because you fail or you mess up doesn't mean you're irredeemable. It
Right.
means now you have to correct the failure. Okay, you failed here. How can we be better next time? That's what they need to teach kids. It's like there's nothing you're supposed to mess up. That's life. It will be like you messing up on a project at work and then they just fire you. That's crazy. Unless you did something, irredeemable, you get more chances. So it's like
Yeah.
that's what it's about teaching kids. And that's again, I plan to do that, whether it's I only have one kid or I have another kid. But me and Kevon, we have very consistent talks about the life that we want to build with our family. And we have to get financially prepared for one. And two, I need to make sure that Nichelle's life will be in a structured foundation first before introducing another child into it. Because I told Kevon that I was very serious about do not want Nichelle's life to be derailed in any way if we bring another kid into this world. I don't want her to feel threatened. I don't want her to feel like she got to share a room now so she has no privacy. I don't want any of that for her. I want her to be able to feel safe and comfortable in her own space because that's very big for kids too, which I get, So these are things that I think about when raising kids in this world. You have to be way more strategic
Yeah.
because a lot of times you're on your own, just you and your spouse, and sometimes if you're single, it's just you, So you can't be reckless. You can't just popping out babies and hope for the best, because now with the emotional desensitization and like the sexual all the stuff in front, like you don't have any safeguards like you did when my mom was coming up. So you have to be more, precise. You have to be more intentional with those things. But we had 2 hours, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm going to end with one story. You say strategic, very important. Deliberate, very important. Kids need to know, and as particularly as they get older in the teenage years, they still have to know there are consequences, but they also need to know that you got their back. You ain't gonna
Mm-hmm.
co-sign on no bull crap if they acting up at school or acting up in work, but they need to know that you'll have that back. Last story is this one. Senior year, high school. Danielle, working at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I'm working in DC. She's working at Chick-fil-A in Virginia Beach, not Virginia Beach, but in Woodbridge. She had been telling me about this situation that she was having with young manager at Chick-fil-A. I already had a conversation with both of them because both of the two managers were, I think they may have been in college at the time.
Yeah, they were young.
And then I was in high school. So they were young. So because I am a leader, I was an Army leader, naval leader, I took the opportunity to go and sit down with all three of them to let them know, okay, Danielle, know if Danielle's not doing this, because she was a minor working. Okay, so this is an opportunity teaching her, preparing her for life. Okay, but also taking the opportunity to teach these young supervisors how you manage. First of all, you tell the employee what they're not doing. You tell them what the expectations are, just like children. You tell them what the expectations are. If they're not meeting those expectations, corrective action. But you have to give them the expectation. So I taught, and I said, Danielle, you know what you need to do as far as your work is concerned, but this is what I need you two managers to understand. So it was an opportunity to teach them as well as to teach my daughter. Fast forward, because Danielle thought the one young lady didn't like her. And again, that was another thing, teaching her about the fact that you can do everything right and people still won't like you. Again, teaching my daughter because life is real. I get a call. I'm at work. Danielle is hysterical. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. She was bullying me.
Danielle is hysterical. I could barely understand what she was talking about. As a parent, that you don't want those kind of calls. And I kind of raised my voice at her because I was pissed. And I sounded like my mom, don't call me at my job. But I mean, but I get off the phone and I tell my boss, I say, I got to go. Danielle didn't know what I was doing, but she knew the last thing she heard me, I was upset, was raising my voice at her for calling me. Next thing she knows, I'm walking into Chick-fil-A. She's behind the counter. I asked for the manager, one of the same young men I spoke to before, because the first conversation I had with the young man manager and the female supervisor that didn't like Danielle. Again, not going in. So I asked the male manager, I said, I need to speak with you for a moment. And I said, I need Danielle to get from behind the counter. So he brings her over there. I said, listen, you remember what I said?
No. No.
I said, listen, I took the opportunity to talk with you and Kelly and to give you a leadership opportunity to learn. I said, but it's apparent to me that there's something other than professionalism going on here. I said, so I tell you what, I don't want her to talk to my child not again. I said, because this right here belongs to me. I said, and another thing, if for any reason my child is fired after this, there will be consequences. I said, do we understand each other? Yes, Miss Jones. So I turned to Danielle. She said, thanks, Mom. I said, listen, I don't play. Now, if you was wrong, I would tell you. I said, but you mine. You belong to me. So that's how you handle that. I was serious. I don't play.
Yeah, I remember because you was pissed. I was like, oh, shoot.
She didn't know I was coming.
Nope.
She walked in because she was still a minor. And again, I needed to teach her how you deal with things. And I tried to teach the right way, have a conversation with the management and my daughter, because again, it was a learning opportunity for both of them. But apparently this female, she
just did not like me, bro. Like, because I'm not saying I was a perfect employee, man, but like the way she was treating me, she was a hater, like to the umpteenth degree. Just like, it's nothing I could have done for you to like me. Nothing.
And that was a lesson that I wanted, because it's a lesson that we still teach our kids, because again, going into the workforce, you will find those leaders. You will find those supervisors and managers. No matter what you do, you ain't ish. And this was a lesson for her. But also I taught her, there are consequences for the things that you do and don't do, but mama got you. Ain't nobody, I'm not gonna let nobody. And the female, she didn't come from behind the counter.
Cause she knew. And she ain't say nothing else. Tell you that.
And apparently after I left, your co-worker said, dang, they were talking about it after I left.
I think so. Like, dang, your mom real. I was like, y'all don't even know half of it. She gangster.
Okay, so we've been at 2 hours. Thank you all. We didn't take any calls today.
I'm
Hey,
hungry.
Filter. Hey, sweetheart.
Hey,
So,
I'm hungry. I gotta get something to eat. I ain't gonna
yeah.
make you.
So I've enjoyed it. Again, if there's anybody that you know that needs to hear this message about these, children from a Gen Xer and a millennial, the things that we've learned, the things that we've gone through, the things that we've seen, the changing of the tide, send them this video, please. Share this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you haven't gone over to a couple sips, please go over to Dani and Kevon's channel, and I will put their information in the description. Thank you so much. I had fun. Until next time, we love you. It's been great. And we'll see you. We'll see you later.